Hey everybody, and welcome to Mike Nierychlo Online, sharing my love for people, wine, food, and all things made passionately. I've got a
everybody.
Yeah, there we go. Caleb Foster from BUTY Wines down in Walla Walla, Washington. Thank you for being with us today, Caleb.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate you coming by.
Yeah.
Cool. So Caleb, BUTY Wines, and not B-E-A-U-T-Y, it's B-U-T-Y. You can see on the wine there. Where'd the name Beauty come from, Caleb?
So beauty looks like booty, and we know everybody's favorite pronunciation is my wife's maiden name, and her great-grandfather was an Italian man, came over about 100 years ago, seek his fortune in America, and sought it, found it, and stayed. And after he stayed, he decided that his name Butera was too much like butter, too Italian, shall we say, back in the days of considerable prejudice. So he Americanized it to Beauty. That's how he spelled it. Great name, brilliant branding, and we ran with that.
Awesome. Well, you guys have beautiful packaging.
So,
it's great. I think it's a great name for a winery.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So
it's
Caleb
good.
Foster, how did you get into wine? What attracted you to wine in the first place?
Well, I was lucky to be in the Walla Walla Valley because I was in college there, and I really wanted to work on a farm. I wanted to work in agriculture after being in an academic family all my life. Mm-hmm. And Walla Walla is a really interesting town. It's got great depth of history, beautiful farming around it, beautiful place to live, due south of Lake Okanagan here in Canada. So on the dry side, lots of blue sky, and really, really habitable space. So the college is surrounded by all this agriculture, and I'd really romanticized that. And there were a small handful of wineries in the 90s there, and I knocked on a winery door, wanting to just do anything I could to be on the farm and work in the vineyard and be a part of that. And lucky me, I got a job one day a week. That was in the summer, right after college. Really got into a winery that was really farm-based.
Yeah.
It was Woodward Canyon, and the owner winemaker there, Rick Small, was real farm side of things, came up at wine up from the earth in a really natural, whole food kind of perspective. He was very successful by the time I had knocked on his door, and had a fortune of working with really great interpersonal chemistry in there, and had just had a lot of fun. So lucky me, I got to see harvest there, and it was just this incredible, really what's still magical today of being able to watch grapes turn into wine, and the metamorphosis of that, which I'd never seen before, was really new, and just hook, line, and sinker.
Just kind of blew you. How simple it is to turn grapes into wine.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly simple. You know, it could happen in a bucket if you just let it go. And yet, if you pay attention and you're really gentle and you coax it and you watch it like any other food you might make, it can just turn into something spectacular.
Yeah, and you said you didn't really grow up a lot around wine off camera. You mentioned that your family didn't drink a whole lot of wine. Was there like an aha moment for you where I was like, wow, this is what it's all about? Yeah,
it was really that moment. Even though selling wine all summer in the sales room, it was that moment in harvest when we were mixing this wee little tank of wine, and it was my job to do it one day Saturday. And here's this pile of grapes, just smelled really interesting, really cool, a little weird, just delicious. And then I came back the next Saturday and it was gone, and it had turned into wine. And I got to taste that new wine, and it was just like, wait, let's do that again. That's really cool. Okay, do that again. And I've been doing it again ever since.
There you go.
It's really interesting to spend your whole spring and summer and fall in a vineyard, really just caressing the fruit, watching it grow and develop, and then to put it in a pile and just you're trying to make something totally different. It's really a stunningly creative thing on a personal effort, and then nature just does this sort of magic in front of you, and you have wine.
Oh, awesome. So it sounds like your first experience
every year
was
it's great.
Yeah, first experience was Walla Walla. You spent a bit of time out and about too. You worked in New Zealand for a bit, South Africa.
Yeah. Left that work after 8 years of Woodward Canyon. Worked at Saint Michel, producing larger volumes of wine. It was very educational, wonderful time there. Then went to New Zealand, traveled, sold everything, and just lived a sort of footloose life down there. Enjoyed that with my wife. We married and went to New Zealand. Made wine in Marlborough, making Sauvignon Blancs. Great to go make wines in other parts of the world. Very different winemaking, different style. Drop dead beautiful wines. And then came home to make our own wines. Did another trip to South Africa, made wines down there, and came home and developed Beauty.
So what is it about Walla Walla that attracted you there that made you say, we need to put a winery here?
I'm a country rat. I love it. I mean, fancy shirt aside, I mean, really, I'm a country rat. I do. I get dressed up once a month, I guess.
There you go.
But no, live in Carhartts and T-shirts, and then to be able to live that country life, but to be this creative in a home atmosphere, and then to share it with the world is it's a heck of a combo.
Yeah, I mean, peas and carrots don't go through some sort of metamorphosis.
Yeah, no, I know. That's right. Yeah, they don't go through metamorphosis, and the service is a little bit dull.
A little bit. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now you guys, you can check on the website. What is your website, by the way?
BUTYWinery.com.
BUTYWinery.com. You can check.
If you Google beauty and hit "I'm feeling lucky," you go right to it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's handy. So BUTYWinery.com. I'll have a link below the video for you to check them out. Make sure you check it out. So on your site, you guys have a bit of a philosophy behind your winemaking.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, "Oh, our wine is 90% in the vineyard and 10% we just kind of babysit it as our winemaker." Yeah. You guys say you're 100% everything. Tell us what that means.
No, it's definitely the experience, and I got really uncomfortable with this whole 90-10 thing, because it's the fact is about wine is you just spend enormous amounts of effort on wine. Any winemaker would admit to you, like a cook would, that the amount of time spent on producing wine is enormous. We actually do have a job. We're not just hanging out 10% of the year doing our work. And there's a philosopher I was reading that puts it in a really broad sense, brings together a philosophical point of view that comes out of religious world. There's something called the Great Nest of Being that's a religious reference. Some of watchers may understand it already, but it's a little bit like the Russian dolls we get for our kids, all nestled within one another.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that in wine. You've got, I drew this wee drawing, you've got this sort of inner developmental stage of compounding complexity and create and increasing levels of development that include everything you've done before, not just in time, but in the richness and the compounding of the development of wine. So you go from a vineyard site to developing that with vines, to growing those vines, to creating fruit, to taking that fruit and completely metamorphosing it into wine. And then that's more complex than anything you've done in the vineyard so far, but it's captured everything you've done in the vineyard so far. It's captured the character of the vintage, the character of the people, the character of that site. And then you're going to compound that with all your effort on the wine. There's not a 10% effort. It is a complete contribution and huge psychological effort in the making of wine. Then you're going to care for that wine in the cellar and develop it in a wine style that you're trying to express something personal. We are. And then you're going to put it together and package it to share with people in such a way with the right setting to do that. So all these things are constantly adding on and bigger and bigger and more complex, involving more people, more time, more resources, more effort in every way. And like those little Russian dolls nestled in one another, from the little vineyard in the middle to the grapes, to expanding the grapes to the next level and level up, you get these growing levels of development, so that when you approach a wine, like these Russian dolls, you approach them from the outside, you can continue to pop them open and peel them apart and see, as you ask questions and talk to the people in the production of a wine, you can move into a more intimate, more original level, but they all still fit together. And every stage is valuable and interesting in its own way, and every stage is complete.
Yeah.
So it's not 10% winemaking. It's completely winemaking, but you're not done at winemaking. You have more work to go.
Yeah, winemaking put into poetic words, put it that way. So. There you go. And I don't know about you, this is one thing I try to push as much as I can, but wine, like your final stage of the dolls, it's about sharing it with the people that you've made it. It's a good setting, friends and family, a nice intimate occasion, and that's what wine is for. It's about sharing it with everybody else.
And you don't have to know. everything, obviously, about the background.
Good luck trying to know everything.
Yeah, exactly. To enjoy that wine, and it needs to be right there. That's of course that's with food. We want to just enjoy that and be happy with that. It's really fun to ask questions and to follow that path back. And a really great wine, you can do that. You can follow right back, and you can get a sense of, wow, no, that so smells like Walla Walla. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing else quite like that, is it?
There we go.
Well, sometimes you can do it.
We got a couple of your wines here. We haven't talked about them for so long.
Cool.
So you guys do a couple different blends than some people. First one we're tasting here, it's, what is it, Semillon, Sauvignon, and Muscadel.
Right, the traditional Bordeaux trio for the white grapes. Both are dry and they're sweet whites.
Yeah.
And so our model in Washington is, we've got really great environment for the Bordeaux model wines. Mm-hmm. Too hot and dry for Pinot Noir, but the Bordeaux wines do brilliantly, as many people know. Mm-hmm. So the Bordeaux white is really special because it adapts to the warmth of our environment particularly well. Semillon, like the Aussie Semillons, get rich without getting tired. So they have this incredible body and viscosity and generosity to them, which is lovely. And they're still got great natural acid. And so our intention here is to build this Bordeaux model white that's really drop-dead gorgeous, got great proportionality, but it's not an oaky wine. So it's a modern wine in the sense that it's not using new wood, not using the California model of oakiness, but using this clarity of this beautiful Washington fruit.
Not so much at all. I like this wine a lot. It's definitely got the backbone of the Semillon. Like it's just got so much nice structure and mouthfeel. The acidity's bang on. It's a food-friendly wine. I mean, this will devour through some heavy fats and oils, things like that.
Yeah, no, exactly,
good, almost like banana peel layer with a savoriness to it, some lemon going on, that kind of thing. Yeah, I like that, It's a neat wine.
It's a really interesting wine because it's drop dead gorgeous in its youth, but boy, you get it to 5 or even a 10-year stage, and lucky anybody who can hold a bottle back that long, but you get it at 5 to 10 years old, and you get this base note, this honey that comes out, and the spices that unveil from they seem to come out of nowhere and everywhere at once, and they just fill the wine with this stunning complexity.
And it's so, people don't often think of it as a white wine that's got something that's got ageability to it, something that's going to develop more character. They'd say, crisp acidity right now, but it's amazing what can develop in some of these wines that have the structure to do so.
Yeah, Semillon's really special that way. I don't age Sauv Blanc, but I age Semillon.
No, Semillon would do well for that.
Yeah.
Cool, and the second one you've got here, you guys are more coining Syrah and Cab Sauv.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I fell in love with the Syrah cabs from Penfolds, basically. In the 90s when I was working at Woodward Canyon. I was drinking those wines, and the Grange and the Baby Grange, the Bin 389, just crazy about them. And nobody was doing that in Washington. Nobody was making great Cab Syrah. So we decided to focus on that at BUTY, and that's our Walla Walla centerpiece, the Red Aviva of the Stones.
Explain Red Aviva of the Stones.
Yeah, it's grown in the cobblestones. There's a part of the valley that's the oldest favored part for farming in the rocks, where great cherries and apples have come from for the last generation. But even prior to that, there was wine in that area, and everybody knew there's the best part of the valley to grow your wines in the cobblestone. It's the old riverbed of the Walla Walla River, deep and broad, and really has this just unbelievable aromatics and texture that you cannot fabricate from anywhere else in the valley, maybe let alone on the West Coast. It's just, there's something wicked cool about what goes on the rocks. Name relates to that, Red Aviva of the Stones. And Syrah excels in the rocks for its own reasons. Cabernet does interestingly, but Cabernet actually, it's such an interesting wine to blend because Cabernet usually big black muscle and tannin. No, not in the rocks. It's all elegance and suave and silk and creamy and pretty and lighter color. And it's the Syrah that's big and bold. And so we actually use Cab Sauvignon on this blend in a small proportion to make the wine more elegant, to make it longer and prettier. And it's a really fascinating wine.
Beautiful finish to it. No, it's not a big, goopy, fat, syrupy mouthfeel. It's
not that style of
It's
Syrah.
elegant, it's delicate. It's almost more of a Rhone style Syrah, right? And the Rhone's grown the same way. They got big, fat boulders everywhere.
More like of a Pinot Noir style on the Syrah than the big, rich Syrah style.
Yeah, for
more
sure.
Elegant and long and pretty.
Yeah, exactly. And that seems that's kind of your premier wine tends to be your Syrah Cab. That's what you guys are really a fan of. That's the style.
No question. It's what we've committed to.
That's what you committed to.
Yeah. It is a drop dead gorgeous blend, and it's really different than what the Barossa version is.
Absolutely.
Nothing at all like it.
Yeah.
but every bit as successful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has got tons of big black fruit to it, but elegant black fruit. Almost like blueberry, blackberry, a neat like meatiness to it that the Syrah is giving, like a bit of that pepperiness, but almost like a sausage or something like that going on.
You know, I say that we make our BUTY wines by hand, and I make this by foot because
I like that.
We foot stomp the Syrah.
Yeah.
And put it out as fresh grapes in the bin, and then we'll take our shoes and socks off, get in there and mix it by foot. All stems, everything's in there, native yeast ferment, native everything, just goes gangbusters, and you get this. You get that sauvage, you get that natural earthy meatiness.
Totally. Well, for those of us who don't understand
cool.
native yeast, explain native yeast.
It's simply the yeast coming in on the grapes.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
You know, the vineyard environment is a natural environment for yeast. They come in and they adapt there. They're on the grapes when we harvest. And we grow organically, so we don't have, death-bringing sprays that are wiping out our native population of yeast in the vineyard. So even in young vineyards in Washington, we've got a good population. Native ferments, and you get that. It's part of that little site-specific character that you get in a wine.
There you go. And you guys are a little bit of a Disney play off words here. You got beauty, and you've also got a line called the Beast.
The alter ego,
the alter ego, the Beast.
The playful line, the differentiated wines, the wines you get direct from the winery. A little bit of special sneak up here in BC. You can get it through Marquee Wine Cellars.
There you go.
But yeah, Beauty and the Beast. We're waiting for that telephone call from Disney to buy the winery, but we haven't had it yet.
That's excellent. Cool. Well, Caleb, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. I appreciate you being here.
With everybody
here's to your continued success at
Cheers,
Beauty.
mate.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, and everybody, I just got to say a quick shout out and thank you so much to Marquee's Wine Cellars for letting us use their back room today. Marquee's a great spot. You can find Beauty wines here. They're in Vancouver. I'll have a link for their site as well for you. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. And remember,
cheers.
Yeah, wine, depretentiousized and simplified a little bit too.
Right on.
There we go. We'll see you on the next episode.